My life in magic in 400 seconds starts with this gateway drug, a Misto-Magic set. I became addicted when I was 10 years old. Everything about it gave me pleasure. The props, the secrets, the fantasies of power, even the performing, which is surprising because I was a shy kid, which is probably why I was given the set in the first place. So I'm here at 12 doing a routine about Harry Houdini, who was my hero and role model. Same gene pool, same religion, son of a rabbi. And also my ace in the hole when anybody suggested that magician was not a suitable career choice for a nice Jewish boy. So now I'm breaking into the big time with this profile in the Pittsburgh Press. It reports that I'm a teenage wizard. I do kids shows. I was recently on television. I know at least 50 tricks, and I can drive a spike through my sister's neck. Blackstone, by the way, was a great stage magician who had recently played Pittsburgh. This trunk represents a 12-year hiatus from magic. It's where I packed all of my apparatus along with my magical aspirations when I went off to college, had my youthful adventures, got married, and moved to Sag Harbor. When I opened the trunk, especially the metaphorical one, everything came out in a new way. For one thing, I started to write about magic. The Secrets of Alcazar recounts my boyhood studies with a cranky and benevolent master teacher. Even though I made him up, he turned out to know a lot more about magic than I did, and it's thanks to him that the book became a hit. I also developed a series of school programs, which I still do to this day. This is a program on the scientific method I'm doing for gifted fifth graders. Magic is really a great way to demonstrate how easy it is to be fooled, to jump to the wrong conclusions, to make unwarranted assumptions. Here the kids are trying to come up with hypotheses to explain a card trick. I also got very interested in magic history. This image is from a 15th century astrology book. There's a street magician on the lower left performing the cups and balls, which is the earliest known magic trick. I used this in a show called The Art of Fooling, which is about the history of magic as a performing art and how the perception of magic changes over time. This is for 6th grade and up. A flashback 2 years ago when I began to aspire to a subtler form of magic than driving a spike through my sister's neck. What I'm aspiring to here is 19th century salon magic, which means an intimate setting, few props, a sophisticated audience, and worthy mysteries. This is at Canio's Books in Sag Harbor. A great influence on my work at that time was the magnificent Tony Slidini, with whom I studied for 3 years. Slidini was a sensational magician, graceful, artistic, playful, and totally original. What he taught wasn't tricks, but techniques of enchantment. He was like Alcazar, except real. A different kind of magic book. This is a reader's guide to Harry Potter, which I wrote with my daughter Elizabeth. The idea was to enrich the reader's experience of the Potter books by explaining the sources of magic lore from literature, folklore, mythology, and historical practice. So here we are doing some research. We're a bit ahead of schedule, but when the time came, we were prepared. I had magic and teaching credentials, and Elizabeth had an MA from history from Princeton. I wrote the magic entries, she did the folklore, then we swapped and rewrote, and my wife, Ruby, did all the fantastic original illustrations for the book. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm holed up in a hotel in Batavia, New York, with about 150 of the best magicians in the world. We've been at lectures and shows all day, but now we're sessioning, which is basically hanging out and swapping material until the sun comes up. We do this every year at the end of April. Same convention, the sun has risen, and now I'm participating in a workshop on magic with rubber bands. Basically, I'm a card guy, but I came up with a move for the linking rubber bands, and I'm hoping everybody will like it, will use it, and will give me some pats on the back. I'm also a fan of academic magic conferences, so here I am at Muhlenberg College with the great Juan Tamarez. At the time, the college had a major in magic studies, and they would bring in performers and scholars from related fields like anthropology or cognitive psychology. I'm there to do close-up and network, and Juan is there as the greatest magician and the greatest magical thinker in the world today. That conference got me invited to this one on the topic of artful deception. I was invited for obvious reasons, and the other participants came from film, photography, and architecture. The idea was to explore the use of false appearances in the visual arts, which we did for 3 days without figuring anything out. And speaking of deception, this is my opus on cheating at poker. I don't do it, I don't condone it, but I am a huge fan of the ingenious methods that cheats have come up with over the centuries, starting about 5 minutes after cards were invented. So this book is both a tribute to the trickster brain and a warning. But enough of the dark side. I want to end with a tribute to the co-conspirators in every magic performance, the audience. Magic is really a co-created experience. It's a partnership. The magician brings his skills, the viewer brings their expectations, and the magic happens somewhere in between. In this case, it's happening in the school in the Bahamas. 2 more schools. On the upper left, a classroom in rural China, and on the right, a school on the Peruvian Amazon. The performers are performing, my assistants, the Flying Invisible Cards, which seems to play anywhere in the world with only minimal help from a translator. Reactions, I would say, are mixed. These are some of my favorite co-conspirators, sophisticated, intelligent adults such as yourselves who don't mind having their brains fried. This is what's called a strolling gig. You work the room like a waiter, serving up hors d'oeuvres of mystery and cocktails of amazement. This was a film festival after party. The sociologist Roger Caillois compared magic to an amusement park thrill ride. Its goal was to induce what he called voluptuous panic, the sensation of having the rug pulled out from under, of being momentarily freed from the burdens of reality. It doesn't always happen that way, but when it does, it's a very nice ride. Thank you.